last year I really did think I was a massive failure and I had so much pressure on my shoulders to perform, whereas this year I know what to expect, I know how to stand up against these amazing ladies. I just think there's a little bit more confidence installed into me this year. Sometimes it's important to have confidence instead of doubting yourself all the time, which I'm very much guilty of. So I'm now 16 weeks out from my first show of the year, which is obviously the Texas Pro Show over in Arlington. The first little changes that we've made are completely minimal, so steps have gone from 8,000 to 10,000. Obviously we're not utilising any PEDs or anything yet because it's way too early and there's no need for them. Food has been dropped a touch, so on my training day, my protein's 195, my carbohydrates are 500, and my fats are 55, and on a non-training day, my protein's 200, carbohydrates 375, and my fats 65. I am actually doing a macro-based approach this year for training, for prep, sorry. I did previously do a meal plan for prep, but we want to kind of try something a little bit different. Obviously, you wouldn't give a newbie a macro approach to prep because it's just, you need that kind of structure for a newbie or someone who doesn't really know what they're looking for. Whereas I believe I've been in this game for long enough to kind of know how to approach things via a macro approach. Obviously, I've been doing macros now for over a year and a half, so I like to know that I like to think I know what I'm doing, which I do, and obviously see that with my clients and obviously my own physique transformation. So again, with macros, it's not like I'm eating chocolate five times a day. It's basically the same as what Tom would give me in a meal plan. I just have the freedom to be able to change things around. If, for example, I didn't want chicken breast one day, I could have turkey mince instead. That's basically how it's going to go. That's not going to be, like I said, burgers for five meals a day, because it just doesn't work like that. So we're going to be doing macro approach this year. I'm actually really excited for it, to be honest, and I really have a good feeling about how we're approaching this prep. It's completely fresh slate. Obviously, we had a bit more of a hiccup last year with a few things going a bit tits up, but this year very much got a clean slate where we have every variable we can control. So expenditure is very much on the dot this year. Instead of me doing ridiculous amounts of steps from work, my stress is highly reduced. And I've just got a better support platform this year and a better surrounding. So that's going to make a massive difference going forward. And as prep progresses, food will come down, PEDs will start to be introduced, like fat burners like Clen, T3, that kind of thing. And then obviously your anabolics like Primobolan, Anavar, that kind of thing. But they will only come in later. I won't utilise them for a long time still. Obviously, I'll keep you guys updated, more so on my Instagram than my YouTube, most likely just because of the YouTube algorithm and shit like that. And I don't really want to be banned. So we'll go over on Instagram if you want to see a little bit more sort of close, in-depth as to what I'm doing regarding my PEDs and things like that. And obviously, cardio will be tapered as of when we need to. We'll most likely utilise steps. I've never really been one to do cardio through my preps, but again, that was out of my control last year in the sense that I had such high expenditure from work, cardio would have just been stupid. Whereas this year, because I don't have that out of control expenditure that I did, we'll be utilising steps under our control and maybe some cardio, but I don't know, we'll just see how it goes. Obviously utilising refeeds when and if we need them. I'll just do exactly what Tom tells me to do. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing going forward. Obviously, training will really just stay the same. What built my muscle keeps your muscle. So obviously, we're going to be keeping heavy stuff in. Like that will just stay in. I really just, I think when it comes to prep, people make a massive change to their training, and it's just like, don't change too much because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep what works in. Why would I change my split around if it works? So training will just stay the same. Obviously, fatigue is taken into account a little bit more, but Connor and I know exactly how I approach training, exactly what works, exactly how far he can push me, and he's been through me for one prep now, one maybe two preps now, so he knows exactly how things work. So training will just stay the same. Absolutely no need to change that around. The only things that we will manipulate, like I said, is food and expenditure and obviously drug usage. But that's kind of how we approach prep. We're just going to try and see how it goes. We've got 16 weeks this time instead of 12, because personally I think 12 was a little bit too short. We've learnt that lesson now. Trial and error, massive part of bodybuilding. We just go back to the drawing board, and go from there. Now, obviously, if I don't win Texas, then we will go into Alicante, which is directly a month after Texas, to try and get the O qualification there. And then if that doesn't happen, then we'll just go back to our drawing board and try for the Olympia next year, possibly doing the New York Pro. But I firmly believe that I will be standing up against some of the best at Texas, and I really do think I could do very well there. And that's actually the first year I've actually said that, when, you know, last year I really did think I was a massive failure and I had so much pressure on my shoulders to perform. Whereas this year I know what to expect, I know how to stand up against these amazing ladies, and just kind of go from there, really. Like, confidence is much more in me. And some people say, oh, you're arrogant, or there's some arrogance somewhere, and I've never been arrogant. I just think there's a little bit more confidence installed into me this year. And obviously, sometimes it's important to have confidence. It's very important to have confidence, actually, instead of doubting yourself all the time, which, I'm very much guilty of. So this year, confidence is a little bit higher. We've got more control over so many more things. So yeah, I'll obviously keep you guys all updated on how things are going, especially on Instagram and a little bit on YouTube. So just keep your eyes out for that. Weekly updates will be going up. And yeah, I'm really excited to represent the UK for another year. So a bit of legs today. It's a little bit busier in the gym today, so we're just gonna kind of work with what's available. As you normally saw, like in our last leg session, we start with this as well. Start with this today as well, just one, because it is really busy, and two, it's just a good way to get the glutes warmed up and ready for any compounds that we might do. No real changes in training. Obviously I'm on prep now, so we're just kind of keeping the same split. No need to change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we're just going to take you through another leg session today, talk a little bit about prep and what we're going to be doing going forward, and then just keep you guys in the loop.
Good. 3. Yep. 2. And 1. That's it. Nice one.
Well, that first motion, we just really tried to overload the glutes in that full hip extension with that hard one and half rep at the top, squeezing nice and hard, getting just everything activated really well. I haven't done 1.5 reps for a while, but it's nice to change kind of like rep ranges around and stimulate the muscle in a different way. So it's good to just start in that proper overloady hip extension portion just to get ready for the rest of the session.
Yeah. 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 4 more. Yeah. Good. 3. Yeah. 2. And 1. That's it. There you go.
Right, here,
Yep. Yep. Come on. 4. Good. Come on. Yep. 2 more. 2. And 1. That's it. Nice. Very nice. Very good. Good. And squeeze. Good. Up. 3. 2. And 1. That's it.
A lot of people will be like,
You said kickbacks are rubbish.
when I think there's a time and a place for kickbacks. We don't do these. This isn't our main movement
No,
for
certainly
glutes, right?
most of the things are taken. There's lots of different variations that are a little bit more efficient than, but yeah, you got to work with what you got eventually. Some days, haven't you?
yeah.
So
I think things like this, Panata kickback, is probably a bit more beneficial than cables, just because you can use a little bit more weight, and it's like it's one plane of motion. Yes, you can move it with this handle and that, but it's a little bit easier to overload them in that hip extension range of motion. And yeah, it's a nice little add-on when everything else is taken. So yeah.
good. Go. Nice. Yep. Yep. So, good. And then let's go. Yep. Come on then, let's go. That's it. 3. That's it. Come on, 2 more. Let's go. 2. Yep. And that's it. Good. 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 Yep. Come on, come on, come on. That's it. Speed them up now. Let's go. And up. Yep. 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 Come on. 3. Up. That's it. 2. And up. That's it. That's good. 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 And again. Good. Good. Come on, come on, come on. That's it. And again, let's go. 3. Yep, come on, let's go. 2. That's it. And 1. That's good.
Representing Raw Coaching, my mate Mads, who was on a podcast with her, and Hannah, they have a Pocket Rocket podcast together. Well, that's primarily Hannah's. I've spoken to them a couple of times. It's all about supporting people in your circle. It's really important to support each other. So if you can just buy someone that you care about their merch, or just support them in any other way that you can, it's really important because we're all in this together. If I can support someone as much as they support me, then the last thing I can do is buy their merch. So go and check her out. It's Raw Coaching. She's mads.raw on Instagram. Loveliest lady ever. And yeah, she knows her shit.
Good. Very good. Good. Yep. Good, keep going. Good, keep going. Come on, again. Come on, 3 more, let's go. And 1. Come on, all the way, all the way. That's it. Come on, work for it, come on, let's go. All the way up, come on. Again, come on. That's it, nice, perfect. Straight in, straight in. Push your weight away on That's it, again. All the way up, all the way up, all the way up. That's it. 1 more than body weight, let's go. Body weight, let's go. Come on, all the way through, all the way through. Come on, come on. Come on. Come on. And down. Rest. Good, right?
Yeah.
Good work.
Oh, that was gnarly.
Good. Good. Yep. Yep. And then let's go. Go! Hey! Come on, finish it, finish it, finish it, finish it. Come on, come on, come on. That's the way I do it. Very nice. I'm going to speed the reps up a little bit now, alright?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it moving with you.
Ready, 3, 1.
Go.
Oh, fuck.
That's the way, come on. So, yep, good. Yep. 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 Good. That's it. And again. And again. 2 more. Let's go. Up. That's it. One more. Up. And hold at the bottom. Hold. Don't let it up. Don't let it up. Don't let it up. That's it. Nice. Come on. 2 more like that. Ready? All the way down. Come on. All the way. All the way. All the way. Hold. 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 Hold it. That's it. 1 more like that. Ready?
Yeah.
And go. Hold. Hold. Don't let him up. Don't let him up. Don't let him up. Perfect. Nice. Right, ready?
Yeah. We know
That was the least.
I'm just, yeah. Look at me now. I'm so thrilled to know that we're going to do this next.
Good. 10 more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Good. Good. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. That's it, nice. Good. Straight back. Again. 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 9, 8, 7, 6. Go. Come on. 3, 2. Yeah. Good. 5. Come on. 4. Good. 3, 2. And 1. That's it. That's it on that. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Now you take it off. Good. There we are.
I'm 3 days in. Pretty much need a refeed by now. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. To be fair, like I actually feel better sometimes training in prep because I'm a little bit lighter, a little bit less sluggish. Especially like the first like 6, like up until about 4 weeks out, do I start to feel a little bit more like, ugh. But even then, like in the grand scheme of things, you've got to think about what you want to achieve from those sessions. Like when it gets hard, all I think about is like the Olympia. Like I'm going to be standing up against ladies that are veterans in the sport, and you know, 1 or 2 reps that I miss might be a placing on stage. So it's what I tell a lot of people that sometimes struggle to approach their sessions with purpose, is knowing that, right, okay, think about that end package. Like you don't want to look the same on stage as you did last year or whenever it was. You want to make sure that the package that you bring next time you stand on stage is better. It's always improved. So when I think, fuck, like in those sets when it got hard, like yes, I've got Connor there to push me, but you've ultimately got to think like the person that I'm going up against, or the veterans of the sport, they're not missing these reps. They're doing the same reps, if not more. And I need to make sure that I'm doing more than they are in order to beat them. It's all about thinking of that end result, visualizing that end result as well. Visualization is super, super important, and not a lot of people use it as much as they should. So that's just like something that I could, you know, I always tell my clients to do is have 35 minutes thinking about that end result, thinking about what they want to achieve in that session, and it will help you massively get the most out of your sessions.
All this is off. Come on, fight it. Come on, up. And down, that's the best. Up.
Weird.
Nice. Good. Come on, keep moving that side up. That's it. Come on. That's it. Keep flooding them up. Keep flooding them. Come on. Keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now stretch separately now, all right? That's it. Always this up. Come on. Right, all the way, come on. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
So did legs again today, more of a glute hamstring based. Obviously you saw a glute hamstring based kind of session last time, but we did only quads like a few days ago, so it's good to kind of mix things around and do another glute hamstring based session. Obviously we started on the glute drive where we did the abduction with the bands for about 20 to 25 reps, and then we did the rep and a half for hip, like overloading hip extension on the glute drive, and then we kind of worked into some more heavier sets once everything's warm and activated, and then we came on to the Pilates kickback. Now I'm not a huge fan of kickbacks just because I just don't think that they're there to build glutes. I think they're very much an accessory to glute building, but because of how busy the gym was today, you've got to move things around, you've got to be open to adapting that session to what's around you. So we came onto this, did some more rep work and things like that. Ever since obviously I got injured, my hip extension on my left hip is really kind of like half-assed. It's not very good. So actually utilising the kickback where we can overload again in that hip extension portion is actually really useful. So bringing this into maybe more of my sessions can help kind of rehab the area of my glute activation because it is just really stubborn. So we did that, and then we obviously moved on to more stretch-based stuff on the hip extension. Again, we've previously spoke about the hip extension where, you know, having that slight round in your torso, having your hip, your hip slightly externally rotated to activate glutes a little bit more. Obviously, glute is an external rotator. Going through hip extension in that motion, obviously weighted, just is a nice little end to the glute part of the session. We then moved over to seated hamstring curl, where speaks for itself, aims for the hamstrings, nice way to shorten the range and really get the most out of the contractions. Then we obviously moved over to blood flow restriction. Obviously, one of my kind of love to hate or hate to love things, where it's a great way to end the session, really push blood through the area, and it's also a good way to just hit things very quickly and just pump the blood into that area. It's a nice way to finish off the session. Obviously, a little bit of a flare-up with my adductor being a little bit stubborn, so we've moved away from all the pressing and stuff today. The old Sarah would have been like, oh fuck, like I'm a failure, like I'm guilty, like I should have done those pressings no matter how bad I felt. Whereas now I kind of moved into a more of a serious career, I've been like, right, actually, you know what, that does hurt. Instead of putting myself into a situation where I might injure myself and take 2 steps back, being open and honest with Connor, because when I was younger, I used to be like, oh, Connor's going to think I'm a failure, blah, blah, which he didn't. It's just something that I personally have an issue with. Whereas, like I said, now, moving more into my career, I'm like, actually, I need to really think about injuries, think about like my longevity. So being like, actually, Connor, it's just a little bit flared up, something to worry about. It's pretty predominantly because my glutes are so pumped, externally rotate, put my hips in that external rotation position where my adductor's slightly on the stretch. It's just a little bit more open to injury. I am doing lots of mobility work just to open up my hips because they are notoriously very stiff. So again, we would have done the pressing, but we moved over to doing some calves, obviously working in that slight larger range of motion than just working off the floor with that little ramp, working through that range and then eliminating the ramp and working from a flat-footed position, working in lengthened and shortened position for calves. Obviously, I previously spoke about calf training and the fact that I think you should need to hit calves from multiple angles, utilizing rest pauses, stretching in between sets, drop sets, that kind of thing. I think it's really important to do that with calves instead of hitting them like 2 sets of 10 reps. It's just not going to work. So I did post a reel about that a while ago, so you're more than welcome to go and have a look at that reel. But that's basically the session. Obviously, it's my first leg session of prep. I've been in prep 3 days now, so really nothing's really changed, to be honest, but felt really, really good today. Hopefully this is, more positive for what's to come, kind of sets the tone for the rest of the prep. Ultimately, I love training legs with Connor. Connor very much pushes me to where I need to be, and he's a massive part of like the portion of prep at the end where things do start to flag and things do get really, really hard. But that's where we thrive. That's where you should thrive, is just pushing yourself through those boundaries that you never really thought you could push yourself through. So obviously there's going to be more content to come around like prep-based stuff, but that's a leg session today. I'll have to take you through a quad session later down the line, see what we do for quads, because ultimately I have had a lot of growth from my glute and hamstring this year, maybe too much growth now. My quads look a little bit out of symmetry, but we're going to be focusing a little bit more on quad volume going into prep, just see if we can stimulate any more growth. Ultimately, most of the growing has been done, but still, that's something that I need to focus on a little bit more now, is a little bit more quad growth. But it's trial and error. That's the beauty of bodybuilding. Trial and error, trying things out. If this doesn't work, then we'll just change it around. If we think this needs a little bit more improvement, then we'll just change that around. Like, that's the beauty of it. There's no point stressing over it because you can just change something around and fix it that way, okay? But thank you for the support, guys. It's always massively appreciated. Obviously, I'll take you on the journey to my Olympia qualification. Fingers crossed this year. If we don't get it this year, then we'll just go back to the drawing board, but I firmly believe I can do very well this year. Obviously, like, share, subscribe, and obviously ring the little bell for notifications. Obviously, go to my Instagram, smallwithmighty20, for a little bit more kind of personal updates on there, but everything will be either on my Instagram or YouTube. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.